All right, we've got some breaking news as we talk. President Trump speaking live at the White House, and he just announced that he is signing the executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education. And importantly, he does acknowledge that the Congress may ultimately have to vote on this. Joining us now to talk a little bit about that, there's President Trump talking about it himself. We have the great Charlie Hurt, who is now co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend. Congratulations, Charlie, dear friend. And another dear friend, Hall of Fame broadcaster Mark Simone, WOR radio host. Gentlemen, Charlie, it's a tragedy. The Department of Education could be going down. Tears all over the place. What do you make of this?
What will we
How can we tear ourselves away from the DON?
What will we do? Washington will stop getting their cut of American taxpayers' money that goes to Washington, D.C. and then back to schools, some of which goes back to the schools. Obviously, President Trump is correct about that. At the end of the day, you know, if we're going to really eliminate the Department of Education, and I hope we do, you're going to have to get Congress involved.
Yes.
But he can do so much to redirect lots of that money so that it goes right back to local districts and you can get the middleman out of the way.
Absolutely. We're going to have Senator March Blackburn is going to be on set after you fellas, and we're going to talk some more about that. But as I said, we were showing you on the full screen. Maybe we'll split the screen again and show you President Trump. Mark Simone, for you, I have the Bondi bust and this whole business about domestic terrorism that Democrats are engaging in, or their allies, and maybe not every Democrat is, you know, trying to blow up Tesla cars and burn the house down and so forth. But the reality is I'm not hearing their leaders or any prominent one. I don't mean nut jobs from Texas. I mean prominent Democratic leaders. I don't see them saying, stop this. I don't see them defending Elon Musk or his patriotism or telling people to stop firebombing his Teslas. That's the issue here.
I'm confused. Leaders of the Democratic Party? Who would that be?
Well, you know, I mean.
I really don't. Obama is, proven himself.
Hang on one second. President is signing the, I don't want to stop this brilliant commentary you have, but there's President signing the executive order.
No auto pen there.
Listen to no auto pen, as Charlie Hurt just said. And there's loud applause. Look at that. That's fabulous stuff. Boy, this is a long time coming. The Education Department was first put in place in 1979, 1980 by Jimmy Carter. It started as an executive order. Then it became a congressionally mandated department. It has grown by topsy down through the years, and while it has grown in size, test scores have plunged in size, and political correctness and insanity. I mean, I can't help myself here. Cultural insanity is infested the Department of Education.
It's a proven failure by every standard, every metric, every number. I was watching the fake news. All they keep talking about is the vital things like the school lunch program. That's actually run by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's not going anywhere.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, the important programs are still going to be there. It's just the 98% of waste and bloat and fraud is going to be gone.
Yeah, all of it. You know, you kind of wonder. It used to be an office inside the old Health, Education, and Welfare, HEW. It used to be just an office. And then it was broken out as its own department. And it's grown by topsy. And, of course, let's be fair. Republicans have contributed to the Education Department's growth also down through the years. It has a massive budget. It has a massive loan portfolio. There isn't a single person in the Education Department, I dare say, that ever knows how to read a credit statement or a balance sheet or an income statement, and yet it owns $1.7 trillion worth of loans, which the Supreme Court told Biden you cannot cancel, but he tried to cancel anyway, et cetera. I mean, this is just nothing but bad stories coming out of the Education Department. And the test scores themselves. I mean, 8th grade kids can't read anymore. They can't do math. We're falling behind in the world stage. Really?
Yeah, it's shining proof that the federal government really cannot accomplish much of anything. Except maybe defending our borders. But they ought to be out of the business of this. And you're exactly right. George W. Bush, the first thing he did when he came to Washington was got, in league with Ted Kennedy to do No Child Left Behind. So it has been a problem on both sides. And the best argument, I think, that, like you say, the school lunches thing, the other thing that they say is they talk about students with disabilities. They sort of oversee, the federal government oversees a lot of that money going to states. But if you've ever covered any state house anywhere in the country, you know the federal government every year fails to actually fund those programs that they mandate. And so it winds up being the states anyway. So just give it all to the states. The states care about their disabled students as much as, if not more, than some bureaucrat in Washington.
And lest we forget, the ultimate people that run the education department are the teachers union. The National Teachers Union, the New York Teachers Union, all these state teachers union. And lest we forget, they're in it for the money. They're in it for the money. They don't want to teach. They want to stay home. When they do teach, they teach insane stuff, anti-American. I'm not even going to go into the gender and the sex and the trans and all this crazy stuff. They hate the Constitution. They hate the Declaration. I may be generalizing here, but that's the thrust of the leadership of the teachers unions, who, of course, dominate the education department.
Yeah, it's like that old Washington saying, whatever starts as a movement always becomes a business, then turns into a racket. And that's what's happening.
That's
here.
right.
You know, the Catholic Church got the best, their schools got the best results. And I remember somebody once asking the great Cardinal O'Connor what he would do for the New York schools. He said, cut your budget in half. You got too many layers, too much bureaucracy. Only 6% ends up getting to the classroom.
The teachers unions, the most vocal opponents of school choice, whether it's religious school choice or just private school choice, charter school choice, they have done nothing but avoid, oppose, antagonize anything to do with competition that might get us better schools and smarter kids, Charlie.
Yeah, if you're going to judge the teacher unions by student results, the test scores, the results speak for themselves. And because at the end of the day, it's all about where the money goes. And if the money doesn't go through their coffers, they don't want anything to do with it. If it goes directly to parents or directly to students so that they can spend the money as parents best see, they'll never be in favor.
And by the way, I want to say, too, a lot of teachers really, truly want to teach. They do.
Oh, yeah.
Very good teachers out there. My family, 3 sisters, actually, saintly wife taught for a while, too, but her 2 other sisters taught. I mean, they love teaching. The administrators, however, which is run by the teachers union, they don't want them to teach. And what they do want them to teach is garbage.
No, and they keep the worst teachers. Here in New York, that's a big problem. They just can't get rid of anybody. If those charter schools were getting such better results, you got to ask these teachers union heads, why aren't you over there trying to figure out how they did it and copying it?
Right.
Now, one thing, Trump, I hope he does. Are we out of time? No, we got some more time with these boys, I hope. Yeah, we do. I mean, I want to move. Maybe I should save this for Marsha Blackburn, but we're going to talk about political terrorism, too. Get all that loan stuff, $1.7 trillion of loans, get it out of the education department, put it in the Treasury, where the Federal Financing Bank, FFB, which had a lot of experts, they'll work out the loans. There's a good yield that's still possible from those loans. You look at me like I'm crazy, but trust me on this. The FFB is the Treasury Department can essentially get a decent yield from those loans, and then let's put the loans back in the private sector where they belong. Because when Obama said no more private loans, only education department loans, then Katie barred the door, everybody's bankrupt, nobody's paying anything, and the whole thing is a big mess.
And when you think about how much Joe Biden spent, how much time he spent talking about trying to clear people's student loans, nobody ever talks about the fact that the 2 biggest actors in out-of-control student loans are the federal government and these universities with billion-dollar endowments. And nobody ever talks about making them take haircuts, but they should. They're responsible for this.
Mark Simone, on that last point, everyone tells me this reconciliation bill, the tax and spending bill that's coming up, there will be a big tax hike on university endowments above $1 billion, because they're the elite schools that will not end DEI and will not end anti-Semitism.
Harvard has $54 billion in their endowment. You could tax that a little more. Hey, if they're willing to charge $100,000 a year to go there, let's tax them a little more.
Yeah, a little more. They deserve it best. Anyway, Mark Simone, thank you. Charlie Hertz, congratulations.
Thank you,
catch
sir.
Charlie co-hosting Fox and Friends weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, 6 to 10 a.m. Wow, 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern on Fox News. Guys can have to really work a whole day's pay, actually 2 days' pay.